Chapter 1 Heredity and Evolution. Can you tell what are the components of a DNA molecule? Each strand in the molecule of DNA is made up of many nucleotides. Each nucleotide is made up of three main components: deoxyribose sugar, phosphate molecule, and nitrogen base. We have also learned that segments of the DNA molecule are called genes. These genes transmit the hereditary characteristics from parents to offspring. Come, in this chapter, let us learn about heredity and hereditary changes in depth. Can you tell what are the components of a DNA molecule? Each strand in the molecule of DNA is made up of many nucleotides. Each nucleotide is made up of three main components: deoxyribose sugar, phosphate molecule, and nitrogen base. We have also learned that segments of the DNA molecule are called genes. These genes transmit the hereditary characteristics from parents to offspring. Come, in this chapter, let us learn about heredity and hereditary changes in depth. Evolution. Evolution is a gradual change occurring in living organisms over a long duration. This is a very slow-going process through which development of organisms is achieved. Formation of new species due to changes in specific characters of several generations of living organisms as a response to natural selection is called evolution. All the stages in changes occurred in various components ranging from stars and planets in space to the biosphere present on the Earth should be included in the study of evolution. Man has always been curious to know about how these stars and planets were formed. The Big Bang theory was proposed in this regard. Scientist Georges Lemaitre proposed this theory. According to this theory, approximately 13.7 billion years ago, the universe started as just a single point. This single point exploded and all the material present inside it was thrown in the space. Gradually, from these materials, stars and planets were formed. A peek into history. Many philosophers and religious scholars have written their views about formation of life. There seems to be a thorough discussion over the formation of universe in various cultures like Indian, Chinese, Roman, Greek, etc. Various cultures have noted different types of information about planets, stars, the Panch Mahabhuta, etc. in the poetry, stories, and sacred books. About 3.5 billion years ago, life did not exist on the Earth. Scientists have mentioned few possibilities about how life began on the Earth. According to it, at the beginning, there may have been only simple elements in the ocean on the Earth, and simple type of organic and inorganic compounds may have been formed from those. Complex compounds like proteins and nucleic acids may have been formed over a long period from those simple compounds. From the mixture of different type of organic and inorganic compounds, the first primitive type of cells may have been formed. Number of those cells may have increased at the cost of surrounding chemicals. There may have been some differences among those cells, and according to the principle of natural selection, some may have shown good growth and some may have perished which could not adjust with the surroundings. Huge animals like dinosaur which once existed on the Earth became extinct due to this principle of natural selection. Even today, many species of animals and birds are not able to adjust to the changes that take place in their surroundings. Both environmental and man-made factors are responsible for these changes. Due to this, these species become extinct. In spite of this, at present, crores of species of plants and animals with huge diversity regarding shape and complexity are present on the earth. Animal diversity ranges from the unicellular amoeba and paramecium to man and giant whale. The plant diversity also consists of various species ranging from unicellular chlorella to the huge banyan tree. The life exists everywhere on the earth, from equator to both the poles. Living organisms are present in air, water, land, rocks, etc. Since ancient period, humans have shown curiosity about the origin of life and reasons for such a great diversity in life present on the earth. Different theories about origin and evolution of life have been proposed till today, of which theory of gradual development of living organisms is accepted. Come, let us study about this theory in detail. Theory of evolution. According to the theory of evolution, the first living material, that is, protoplasm, has been formed in ocean. In due course of time, unicellular organism was formed. Gradually, changes occurred in the unicellular organisms, from which larger and more complex organisms were formed. All these changes were slow and gradual. It took over 300 crore years for these changes to take place. Changes and development in living organisms had been all-round and multidimensional, which led to evolution of different types of organisms. Hence, this overall process is called evolution, which is organizational. Progressive development of plants and animals from the ancestors having different structural and functional organization is called evolution. If theory of evolution is widely accepted, then there has to be appropriate evidences to support this theory. Are there such evidences? Come, let us study about the evidences in detail. Evidences of evolution. Do you know why the theory of evolution is so widely accepted? Various questions like how life began on Earth, how various living organisms evolved, were answered by this theory. Various proofs are available in support of the theory of evolution. Come, let us do a detailed study about these evidences. Morphological evidences. Let us study about morphological evidences with the help of a small activity. Activity. Some images of animals and plants are shown over here. Observe these images carefully. Can you find any similarities between them? First, we will observe the images of the animals. Similarities in characteristics like structure of mouth, position of eyes, structure of nostrils and ear pinnae, and thickly distributed hairs on body are seen in these animals. Come, let us now observe the images of the plants. All these plants show similarities in characters like leaf shape, leaf venation, leaf petiole, etc. Thus, from these observations, we can infer that there are some similarities in these two groups, and hence it proves their origin must be same and must have common ancestors. After studying about morphological evidences, let us see how anatomical evidences help to support and study about evolution. anatomical evidences. Here, structure of bones of human hand, cat's foreleg, flipper of whale, and patagium of bat is shown. When we carefully observe these structures, there doesn't seem any superficial similarity between these structures. Use of each of these structures is also different in respective animals. However, there is similarity in the structure of bones and body joints in organs of each of these animals. This similarity indicates that these animals may have a common ancestor. From this, we can say that anatomical evidences are available in support of theory of evolution. Come, let us find if there are some more evidences to support the theory of evolution. Name some organs present in the body of living organisms. Different vital organs like brain, heart, lungs, small intestine, large intestine, etc. are present in the body of living organisms. Along with these vital organs, many other organs are also present in the body. Have you ever wondered, is each of the organ present in the body useful to the organism? It is not necessary that each organ present in the body of an organism is useful to that organism. In a human body, there are many organs which are not useful to it. For example, appendix, which is attached to the large intestine, is not useful to the human body during digestion or during any other process. In the same way, wisdom teeth, which is present in the mouth along with other set of teeth, does not help in chewing of food and just acts as a non-functional part present in the mouth. If these body parts are not useful to the human body, then why are they present in the body? Come, let us explore about it. Vestigial organs. Degenerated or underdeveloped useless organs of organisms are called vestigial organs. In living organisms, sudden development of new tissues or organs for living in changing environment is not possible. Instead, existing organs undergo gradual changes. Mostly, a specific structure in the body is useful under certain situation. However, same structure under different situation may become useless or even harmful. Such structure begins to degenerate under such situation as per the principle of natural selection. It takes thousands of years for a structure to disappear. Such organs are seen in different phases of disappearance in different animals. Such organ, though non-functional in certain organisms, it may be functional in other organisms. That is, it is not vestigial in other organisms. Appendix, which is useless to humans, is useful and fully functional organ in ruminants. Similarly, muscles of ear pinna, which are useless to humans, are useful in monkeys for movement of ear pinna. Various vestigial organs like tailbone, that is, coccus, wisdom teeth, and body hair are present in the body of human being. In birds, nictitating membrane is an useful and fully developed organ. But the same organ is useless and non-functional in humans. Wings of some birds developed fully, but in the case of kiwi and emu, wings remained underdeveloped. Obtain more information regarding this from the internet. We know that during evolution, changes took place in living organisms. But how can we tell which organisms existed millions of years ago? Come, let us study about the next evidence of evolution to get the answer for this question. Paleontological evidences. The secret of which organisms existed millions of years ago has been hidden in the earth. Large number of organisms get buried due to disasters like flood, earthquake, volcano, etc. Remnants and impressions of such organisms remain preserved underground. These are called fossils. Study of fossils is an important aspect of study of evolution. Carbon consumption of animals and plants stops after death, and since then, only the decaying process of C14 occurs continuously. In case of dead bodies of plants and animals, instead of remaining constant, the ratio between C14 and C12 changes continuously as C12 is non-radioactive. The time passed since the death of a plant or animal can be calculated by measuring the radioactivity of C14 to C12 present in their body. This is carbon dating method. Introduction to scientists. Carbon dating method is based upon the radioactive decay of naturally occurring C14 and is developed by Willard Libby. He has been awarded with Nobel Prize in the year 1960 for this invention. The age of the materials determined by this method are published in the journal Radiocarbon. The carbon dating method is used in paleontology and anthropology for determining the age of human fossils and manuscripts. Once the age of fossils has been determined by such technique, it becomes easy to deduce the information about other erstwhile organisms. From this, it seems that vertebrates have slowly originated from the invertebrates. Come, let us now proceed to the next evidence of evolution. Connecting links. Every plant and animal shows some unique characteristics. However, some plants and animals show some morphological characters by which they can be related to two different groups. Hence, they are called connecting links. Some images are shown over here. Come, let us observe these images one by one. First image is of Peripatus. In Peripatus, characters like segmented body, thin cuticle, and parapodia-like organs are present, which are also seen in phylum Annelida. Similarly, these animals also show tracheal respiration and open circulator systems similar to anthropods. This indicates that Peripatus is connecting link between Annelida and Anthropoda. Next image is of duck-billed platypus. This animal lays eggs like reptiles, but shows relationship with mammals too, due to presence of mammary gland and hairs. The next image is of a lungfish. This fish performs respiration with lungs irrespective of being fish. Thus, these examples indicates that mammals are evolved from reptiles and amphibians from fishes. After studying about connecting links, let us now move on to study about embryological evidences. Embryological evidences. To know what is exactly meant by embryological evidences, first we will do a comparative study of embryonic developmental stages of various vertebrates shown over here. From the comparison, we get to know that all embryos show extreme similarities during initial stages, and these similarities decrease gradually. Similarities in initial stages indicate the common origin of all these animals. Do you know who proposed that all species of living organisms have evolved from a common ancestor? Come, let us find about it. Introduction to scientists. Charles Robert Darwin, birth 1809, death 1882. Charles Robert Darwin was an English biologist who proposed the theory of evolution. He showed that all the species of living organisms have been gradually evolved over the period of thousands of years from common ancestor. He proposed that the principle of natural selection is responsible for this evolution. Come, let us study about this principle proposed by Darwin in little detail. Darwin's theory of natural selection. Charles Darwin had collected innumerable specimens of plants and animals, and depending upon the observations of those specimens, he published the theory of natural selection, which preaches the survival of fittest. Darwin had published a book titled Origin of Species. While explaining the concept, Darwin says that all the organisms reproduce prolifically. All the organisms compete with each other in a life-threatening manner. In this competition, only those organisms sustain which show the modification essential for winning the competition. However, besides this, natural selection also plays an important role because nature selects only those organisms which are fit to live and the rest perish. Sustaining and selected organisms can perform reproduction and thereby give rise to new species with their own specific characters. Darwin's theory of natural selection was widely accepted for long duration. However, some objections were raised against this theory. Some of the main objections are: 1. Natural selection is not the only factor responsible for evolution. 2. Darwin did not mention any explanation about useful and useless modifications. 3. There is no explanation about slow changes and abrupt changes. Irrespective of all these objections, Darwin's work on evolution has become a milestone. Come, after Darwin, let us now study about what Jean-Baptiste Lamarck had to say about evolution. Lamarckism. Jean-Baptiste Lamarck proposed that morphological changes occurring in living organisms are responsible for evolution, and the reason behind those morphological changes is efforts or activities or laziness of that organism. He called this concept as principle of use or disuse of organs. Before we proceed to study about this principle, let us first know about the scientist that proposed this principle. Introduction to scientists. Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, birth 1744, death 1829. Lamarck proposed that the activities of the organisms are responsible for their evolution. This French naturalist proposed that each animal or plant undergoes some changes in its lifespan, and those changes are transferred to the next generation, and such changes occur in next subsequent generation too. Further, he also said that the neck of a giraffe has become too long due to browsing on leaves of tall plants by extending their necks for several generations. Similarly, shoulders of the ironsmith have become very strong due to hammering movements. Wings of birds like ostrich and emu have become weak due to no use. Legs of the birds like swan and duck have become useful for swimming due to living in water, and snakes lost their legs by modifications in their body by burrowing habit. All these examples are types of acquired characters and are transferred from one to another generation. This is called as theory of inheritance of acquired characters, or Lamarckism. The living organism can transfer the characters which it has acquired to the next generation. This is called ancestry of acquired characters. development of organs due to specific activities, or their degeneration due to no use at all was widely accepted, but transfer of those characters from generation to generation was rejected. Because it had verified many times that modifications brought in living organisms are not transferred to next generation, and thereby Lamarck's theory was disproved. Come, let us now proceed to the next part of the chapter. During evolution, various species of living organisms are formed. Here, images of various species of monkeys are shown. You can collect information about these species from the internet. Come, let us now move on to the next part of the chapter to find out the reason for this vast diversity seen in species of living organisms. Speciation. Formation of new species of plants and animals is the effect of evolution. Species is the group of organisms that can produce fertile individuals through natural reproduction. Each species grows in specific geographical conditions. Their food, habitat, reproductive ability and period is different. However, genetic variation is responsible for formation of new species from the earlier one. Besides, geographical and reproductive changes are also responsible. Similarly, geographical or reproductive isolation also leads to speciation. Till now in this chapter, we studied about evolution, evidences of evolution, and about some theories related to evolution. Come, in the last part of this chapter, we will study about the most relatable topic to us when evolution is concerned, that is, human evolution. Human evolution. The biodiversity that is known today has been said to be formed from very simple unicellular organism due to evolution. This is the journey of human evolution. Last dinosaurs disappeared approximately 7 crore years ago. At that time, monkey-like animals are said to be evolved from some ancestors who were more or less similar to the modern lemurs. Tail of these monkey-like animals of Africa is said to be disappeared about 4 crore years ago. Enlargement in brain were seen. Their hands were also improved, and thus ape-like animals were evolved. Meanwhile, these ape-like animals reached the South and Northeast Asia and finally evolved into gibbon and orangutan. Remaining ape-like animals stayed in Africa, and from them gorilla and chimpanzee evolved about 2.5 crore years ago. Evolution of some of the 2 crore years old species of apes seems to be occurred in different way. They had to use their hands more for eating food and for other work. Those apes started to live on land as the forests started to decline. Their lumbar bones developed in such a way that they started to stand in erect posture, and thereby their hands became available for use anytime. These first human-like animals with erect posture, which were using their hands, have evolved about 2 crore years ago. The first record of human-like animal with us is in the form of Ramapithecus. Afterwards, growth in the size of this ape was seen. The brain of the ape also became more intelligent, and thus, ape of South Africa evolved about 40 lakhs years ago. Australopithecus evolved from Ramapithecus. Australopithecus is a connecting link between ape and human. The morphology of human-like animals started to appear like to be the member of the genus Homo about 20 lakhs years ago, and thus skilled humans developed. About 15 lakhs years ago, humans walking with erect posture was evolved. It may have existed in China and Indonesia of Asian continent. Evolution of upright men continued in the direction of developing its brain for the period of about 1 lakh years, and meanwhile it discovered the fire. Brain of 50,000-year-old man was evolved to the extent that it could be considered as member of the class wise man, that is, Homo sapien. Neanderthal men can be considered as the first example of wise men. The Cro-Magnon men evolved about 50,000 years ago, and afterwards, this evolution has been faster than the earlier. About 10,000 years ago, wise men started to practice agriculture. It started to rear the cattle herds and established cities. Cultural developments also took place. Art of writing was invented about 5,000 years ago, and thus the history had been started. Modern science emerged about 400 years ago, and industrialization began about 200 years ago. Now we have reached at this stage, and still we are searching the details of the roots of human ancestry and hereditary changes. We know that heredity is the transfer of biological characters from one generation to another via genes. Johann Gregor Mendel is pioneer of the modern genetics. After a long research, he gave some conclusions about heredity. In 1901, the reason behind the sudden changes were understood due to the mutational theory of Hugo de Vries. Later in 1902, Walter Sutton observed the paired chromosomes in the cells of a grasshopper. Until then, chromosomes were not known to anyone. Research started in the direction of finding the nature of genetic material when it was proved that genes are carried via chromosomes. In the year 1944, trio of scientists Oswald Avery, Macklin McCarthy, and Colin MacLeod proved that, except viruses, all living organisms have DNA as genetic material. In 1961, the French geneticists Francis Jacob and Jacques Monod proposed a model for process of protein synthesis with the help of bacterial cells. It helped to uncover the genetic models hidden in a DNA. Thereby, the technique of recombinant DNA technology emerged, which has vast scope in the field of genetic engineering. We have already studied about genetic disorders in our previous grade. Come, let us quickly revise about it. Diseases or disorders occurring due to abnormalities in chromosomes and mutations in genes are called genetic disorders. Physical disorders like cleft lip, albinism, and physiological disorders like sickle cell anemia, hemophilia are some examples of genetic disorders. The science of heredity is useful for diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of hereditary disorders, production of hybrid varieties of animals and plants, and in industrial processes in which microbes are used. To have a better understanding about the next part of the chapter, we need to quickly revise about some points that we have studied about DNA and various types of RNA in our previous grade. First, let us draw the structure of a DNA. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. It is a double helix structure. Each strand in the molecule of DNA is made up of many small molecules known as nucleotide. Nucleotide is made up of three main components: deoxyribose sugar, phosphate group and nitrogen base. Nitrogen bases are of 4 types: adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. These nitrogen bases are grouped into 2 types: purines and pyrimidines. Adenine and guanine are called purines, while cytosine and thymine are called pyrimidines. In the structure of a nucleotide, a molecule of a nitrogen base and phosphoric acid are each